See? Always something dumb.
Just restart the daggone thing.
Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Let's go.
Testing. 1, 2. That's right. Hit the share button. That's right. Tune in.
Stay focused and just do your best. Never let anyone or anything slow you down. Gotta have the right mentality. Turn your dreams into reality. Everybody, come on. Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit.
1, 2. 1, 2. Hey. Ladies and gentlemen, it is just past the 9:30 hour. It is right now 9:35. Your guy, Keith Pelz. Yes, I'm wearing a fedora this time because I had to wear that working earlier. I had to look cute in the room. But nonetheless, we are here on a Thursday night, and this is Between Sundays. Early this week, I had the Furby sisters in here, and we have brothers of those sisters, and from that Philly crew, Philly baby, and shout outs to the tri-state area. But it is Thursday, and you are on with Between Brothers, none other than Jay Morris and Darian Brister. And Darian and Jay going to take it away. Is that in focus? It still ain't in focus.
Nah.
So we're going to get to see what we got here. Okay, I'm going to turn this over here.
Cool.
Look at them guys.
All right. Between Sundays. Welcome
y'all.
back, everybody. Welcome back.
Yeah,
Again, we're a platform where we offer perspectives of the modern church, ministry, operation, and the many nuances therein from the lens of worship arts and multimedia personnel. Still in the thick of our series titles. And if I can real quick, one of my objectives with this series was, I guess, illustrating a different perspective of titles where there's not so much the being enamored with chasing the titles, but more embracing.
Yeah.
You know, not chasing, but embracing. So, last week I thought was really interesting, really good. We started to breach this word called culture. We started to breach that word called culture.
Yep.
And we want to take a much deeper dive in this week, as well as probably maybe next week and beyond. But today we will start with a comment from the previous episode. Pelz, you keep working. You ain't got to worry about it. I will read the comment from previous episode. And before I do that, some special birthday shout outs. Let me start with the Lee clan, who my family calls the HNIC of the siblings.
Oh.
And that is one Mrs. Paulette Solomon.
All right. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Today is her milestone 50.
Yeah. Awesome.
Also, special birthday shout out to new and big supporter of the show, Julian Brissett.
Oh, happy birthday, bro.
I believe today is number 25 for him,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. And interestingly enough, we're using one of his comments from last week. So his comment said, ministers of music need to learn the art of planning and execution. It's no reason why, for example, a church starts prepping for Christmas programs and or watch night in November.
Mm-hmm.
Poor planning creates poor execution.
That's a good one.
We'll read that one more time. He
Yep.
says, ministers of music need to learn the art of planning and execution.
Mm-hmm.
It's no reason why, for example, a church starts prepping for Christmas programs and or watch night in November.
Mm.
Poor planning creates poor execution. And this comment is fitting. I chose it because I think it has a lot to do with culture.
Mm.
I'm going to come to you, Jay, with your thoughts here, but let me throw this out here. What I have come to learn in many of our churches, when we talk about this topic of planning
Mm-hmm.
and executing, more so the planning part, I've come to see in my experience that many of our churches, it is normal to them to plan with just weeks time advance.
Yeah.
That's normal for them.
Yeah.
To plan something months ahead,
Mm-hmm.
that's almost like where they do that at.
Right. That's not no.
That's kind of how they see it
Why-
because they've been throwing things together for decades.
Like, why are you wasting our time?
They've been throwing it together for decades.
Yeah.
And there's something there that I want to talk about. But again, I want to get some of your thoughts first, particularly as it pertains to the example that Julian gave.
Well, first of all, let's is it episode 50? Is
It is episode 50.
Just, like we did 50 episodes. Like
We've-
this is dope, man. Like
Yeah.
this is a milestone.
This
Like,
is a
we celebrate
milestone.
This
I didn't even realize it till I was driving up.
Yeah, episode 50. This is awesome. All right. So here's the thing. In a lot of our churches, if you remember back in the day, we were raised. A lot of us started in churches that had something called devotion,
Mm-hmm.
testimony service.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember about testimony service, it was interesting because the musician or even the praise team, or most of the time it was the deacon or just somebody, mainly one person, one or two,
Yep.
they didn't even know what they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our cues and a lot of what we learned could be stemmed from the way it was even back then. So when it was pastor's anniversary, we had an idea of the theme
Yeah.
for pastor's anniversary,
Mm-hmm.
and we did our song selection from that theme, and I think that was about the best that we got.
Got you.
However, in today's times where you have more productions,
Mm-hmm.
it's a different story when you try, as you say, try to tell us now, that we need to start practicing in July for something that's happening watch night.
Mm.
That's foreign to us because, as you say, we're not used to that.
Mm-hmm.
We're used to just, let's go by our skill,
Yeah.
our talent.
Yeah.
And I'll go even further. The same way musicians don't learn music for rehearsals. Sometimes it's embedded and you have to break that.
Yeah.
Because it's how we've been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we've talked about coming in ill prepared.
Yeah.
It's a root
Mm-hmm.
to that.
Yeah.
It's a reason why that happened. It's just not, cats coming in ill prepared because they're playing PlayStation. No, it's a root to it and why they keep on doing it and why it's okay for them to do it in their eyes.
Yeah. Interesting that you bring up kind of some, let's say, some historical context, some nostalgia, right? In terms of going back to our early days in the church, the culture of not only music but the service in general, even all the way to ministry, the culture was very impromptu. There wasn't a lot of, there wasn't just a lot of thought put into, planning in advance.
Right.
It was just say, okay, maybe a week before, okay, next week we're gonna do this. It's past anniversary, so let's just kind of make it big as we can.
Right.
Let's try to make sure everybody shows up.
Right.
And let's maybe we can try a new song or something like that. But more to your point, it's been more impromptu. And so I'm reminded of a statement my mom uses a lot. And she uses this statement: most people who have issues embracing progressive ministry is because they don't live a progressive life.
Wow.
Why I go there? Well, I go there to draw a parallel. Here's a parallel. As far back as you and I can remember, the style of our Sunday morning service, again, was more so impromptu than it is now. I would say the parallel would be going back, let's say 30 years or more, in the African American community at least. It was the same way with how we did our vacations. Our vacations were more impromptu.
Yep.
And usually that meant we just taking a drive.
Pretty much.
That usually didn't involve a plane ride.
Right.
Because you can't do a plane ride impromptu.
Exactly.
At least not in the African American community. We normally didn't have those type of resources.
Right.
To get plane tickets impromptu.
Right.
So when we did our vacations, we would do that impromptu, and depending on where you live, you drive to maybe your closest beach. For us, that would be like Atlantic City, or maybe like a Rehoboth Beach. Maybe even if you wanted to go a little farther, maybe you hit Virginia Beach, or maybe you hit the shore in Maryland somewhere. All right, but that was how we did vacation, and that was the ceiling in terms of, I guess, what we thought we had the ability to do, until we embraced not only more information, but giving ourselves more time to plan.
Yeah.
Because when you got more information, now okay, it takes a little bit more. There's more moving parts to, okay, we want to go, for example, to Florida to vacation.
Yeah.
Or we want to go even, offshore to, Puerto Rico or something like that.
Yeah.
There's more moving parts.
Yeah.
So we can't wait till a month before to decide we gonna make that trip. What we had to do, we had to plan months in advance. Had to start putting aside our ducats.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I remember in 2022. I remember we wanted to plan a vacation for 2025. And in my mind, I was like, man, that's too far, man. That's like, wow, we don't need to do all that.
Yeah.
And now it's 2025 fails, and I'm like, you know what? We should have planned that vacation because we would have had time to do everything we need to do. And what happens, this is the other side, when you don't plan and you do things weeks or days ahead, what happens is you find out the resources are not there. So when these ministers of music and psalmists try to come to the pastor or the deacons or whoever the trustees are and say, hey, listen, we got a plan. I know it's 7 days, but we're trying to do this. The budget is something thousands of dollars. And they're looking at you like you got 3 years.
Yeah.
Yes, and sir. So because there's and here's another thing, as Brissette said, there's no organization. So the Bible says write the vision. So you're going to them with ideas that you're just saying off the top of your head.
Yes, sir.
And when they ask you, well, how do you plan to do that? all you have is ideas. There's nothing written
Yeah.
down. There's nothing to show that you actually thought about this to put this in place. You just want some money.
Yeah.
And more likely, when you operate it like that, you're going to create chaos.
There you go.
You're just going to spend and then come back for more.
Let me push your point further.
Yeah.
Because one of the main points I was getting at with my analogy is that if we're trying to use the same amount of time to plan what has more moving parts, chaos.
Yep.
One more time. If we are trying to plan with the same amount of time, something that has more moving parts, that's where the chaos shows up.
Yep.
So the idea with the vacation analogy is, again, if we're just talking about taking a drive, then maybe there's not a whole lot of advanced planning involved. But when there's a greater goal,
Yeah. Right there.
when there's a greater goal, you can't do the same thing
Exactly.
to try and achieve a greater goal. So you can't just do, again, in most situations, most of us we can't plan a 4-day 3-night trip to Turks and
Caicos.
Caicos
Yeah.
a month before.
Exactly.
Most of us cannot do that.
Exactly.
That's just not enough time, even for a single person. Now, imagine we talking about family. Imagine talking about more than. It's just not enough time. So when the goal is greater,
Yeah.
when we are setting our eyes on more than just what we've done in the past, then there's more planning involved.
And here's another caveat to that. When you fail to plan and you just do things days before, you don't have time to plan for the unplanned.
Talk about it, man.
So, people always say, okay, this is what we're going to do. I've lived a little bit long enough to know that most of our greatest ideas don't go according to plan. There's always, like as you say, Darian says, a wrinkle.
Yes, sir.
Somewhere. There's something that has to happen to kind of throw things off course. And when you don't plan, you're not ready for that wrinkle.
Nope.
So simply, this is what we want to do, and this is how much it's going to cost. Well, you didn't know that the organ needed repair. So now everything that hinges the service, the songs, the soloist,
yes, sir,
the dance ministry, the offering, the preach word hinges on that organ now, which needs another $3,000 to because you didn't plan for that. That was something you just didn't know that was going to happen. But because you didn't set and plan, okay, what do we do if this happens? Okay, let's say our musician gets sick. Do we have something in place?
Yeah.
We're using the same guy for 18 years. He ain't been sick yet. God forbid.
God forbid.
He eat the wrong food before he came in.
Yeah.
And can't get on the organ.
Exactly.
Things happen. He's human.
Absolutely.
It's happened to the best of us.
Absolutely.
And that just constitutes where we think, okay, well, we'll just play it by ear. That's how we've been rolling.
Yeah.
And it goes, it doesn't just stem from back in the day. It's how we were raised. A lot of us, we've always thought that way. A lot of us always ran our families. A lot of us always, as you say, ran our vacations. It shows in our lives.
Yes, sir.
What do you plan to do, musicians, when you get 50?
Uh-oh.
You know, I just wanted to tie it into where, you know, Julian was saying, you know, the art of planning and execution, it's like holiness. It's a lifestyle. It's not just a trait.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lifestyle. It's not something you can just, okay, I'm wearing my you know, I'm covering my head. This is holiness.
Yeah.
Hey,
Go ahead, Bells.
So you know what's crazy, and I like where you went with that, Jay and Darren. So I wrote two things down. Like, I wanted to ask you who are watching, and if you watch it later, answer like a question. You can answer it in there, or you can generalize and say most ministries, right? Or where I'm at or what I'm used to. What type of ministry do you have versus what type of ministry do you want?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Good one.
And neither one of those are bad. It's saying for a leader, a lot of musicians, since this is like a musician's thing, a lot of musicians, they play at churches that they want to be something that the pastor doesn't understand, or that ministry doesn't understand, or they have no desire to get there.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the criticism comes in where these guys are absolutely right. There's no planning involved. But I've been playing at different churches that's like, even if they plan, it's so far away from what they're planning for.
Yeah.
Right? So you'll have a church that has 30, 40 members, and maybe only 20 will show up.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sitting down with Darian, who's at a larger ministry that got, I'm joking here, but in-ear monitors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back channel, whatever y'all call that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Click track and everything, and they're trying to plan it. The same, they have soprano, alto, and tenors that know that they're soprano, altos, and tenors. Not the church where it's like, pick one today.
Yeah.
Right? And you're not a Furby system where you can switch and alter it and still nail it.
Yeah.
You just adding a note in there that you didn't rehearse on that, but even you don't even have the capacity to rehearse.
Yeah.
Are y'all hearing what I'm saying?
Yes,
like,
sir.
you don't have the capacity. So we're mimicking productions when we don't have a production church. That's very deep. And then many of the musicians, I'm gonna say something. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong. Sean, whoever is in the conversation, tell me if you think I'm wrong or you feel me. And that's not everybody. I know it's not, but I'm gonna add something in here. Some musicians have tasted the road. They understood the discipline of the road. Many musicians know how to play in pocket because you got you're behind out there on the road and realize they don't need you to solo, and there's no mother on the front row that says, let the Lord use you.
Right.
No, the check that they giving you, play the record.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get a solo from the artist, you take a solo, but you don't solo through it.
Yeah.
Those are professionals on the road. Now when the gig is up and you play at the church on Sunday, that church is not a production, organized, musical production church.
Yeah.
The members there are not used to or expecting a formulated source of some kind of entertainment. Everybody wants to sing. So you can't have an organized praise team when you got to appease people in the ministry that they have nothing else to do, and they're not going to sit there and watch how talented you are.
Right.
That kind of church can't do the planning that another type of church does, where people are in and out more so like a concert and not a congregation.
That's a good one.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you're big enough, you have to put on the production because you need that kind of order. And everything that Darian and Jay is saying, I agree with 100%. And I understand why like a Jay would just be like, yo, what exactly are we doing here? But put Jay in the church with like 20 members, his brain and his spirit will automatically understand it ain't happening over here. So we have to work from 10 years back.
Yeah.
But we can't go present or ahead like the other ministry I was at because they don't have the capacity to understand the planning or whatnot.
Right.
Yeah. And the planning is really, that part is really contingent. That's
Mm-hmm.
totally contingent on what the goals are.
Well, wait, Darren, let's say this.
Okay.
Jay brought up devotional.
Mm-hmm.
We were very impromptu, but the
Yes, we
deacons
were.
did have a plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The plan was today we going to sing a charge to keep I have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Deacon so-and-so going to read that scripture. Then we going to do that. Then we going to open the floor for impromptu.
Mm-hmm.
So we always, technically, our church always had an order,
Mm-hmm.
right? We knew the expectation and we knew the space of impromptu.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't deal with the frustration that I know what we're talking about here, but I didn't have to deal with the frustration because even in the devotional wing it days, the wing it still had a wing of formation
Yeah.
that had impromptu incorporated into it.
Absolutely.
Now churches, depending on the size, you cannot wing it.
Yeah. Very true.
We need to know what we're doing here.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't just figure it out when the pastor calling you for a selection.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
What's the game plan?
Yeah.
And then if we have a game plan, then we need to rehearse because you can't just show up and jump in the band and start doing the cowbell.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody got time for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me bring this. Let me bring what we've been talking about home a little bit in regards to really like targeting the music ministry. So, for instance, and let's use Julian's example here of like Christmas program. So listen, if the goal is for the Christmas program to kind of do the status quo or the normal, the now behold the lamb,
Yeah. Yeah.
the Jesus is the reason,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know, maybe a little bit of
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
You know that's the one.
Oh yeah, Norma.
We
If-
worship you.
Yeah.
I
if-
hate it when the Negro don't hit that note. We worship you.
Yeah.
Sidebar, and I gotta do this, and this is gonna be shady, but I gotta do this. Lot of keyboardists, organists die a slow death on that second time around on Come.
Mm-hmm.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yo, when that note ain't hit, I be like, bruh,
That's true. That's true.
like you ain't hear that, and you want
And if-
$800 a
And,
Sunday.
and if they don't die a slow death, that's because some of them have played the second time around the same way the first time,
around, right.
and that ain't how the record play it.
Yeah, look, how come the keyboard always cut out at that part?
Wow, that's good, Jay. That was good.
Y'all forgive me for being messy for a minute.
Oh, man.
But if that's the goal, just to, again, the status quo, the same old
yeah.
for Christmas programs, then yeah, you don't need a lot of planning for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If the plan is to do something different,
Mm.
something a little out of the norm
Yeah.
for Christmas, such as a special gift, Walter Hawkins.
That's a good one. That's uncommon.
That, because it's uncommon,
Mhm.
that's probably going to take a little more planning.
Yeah.
Little more planning. Example, this year for Resurrection Sunday, also known as Easter Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
The church where I serve, we opted not to do kind of too much of a hybrid production where we had, dance, drama, and music together.
Mm-hmm.
Just something a little smaller. But we did do a special song list for the singing group. And that was sent out. You ready?
Mhm.
Because Resurrection Sunday this year was third Sunday in April.
Mhm.
That list of songs was sent out in January.
Wow. Wow. Plenty time.
Sent out in January, and the first rehearsals was in February.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because again, when the goal and the results you're trying to get is different,
Mm-hmm.
then you can't do the same
Exactly.
mode of preparation and approach of preparation that you've been doing.
Yeah.
So yes, again, back to the comment, ministers of music, particularly in musical or church musical situations that have more expectations, that the expectations are a little more organized or organization versus impromptu.
Yeah.
When you're in those settings, yeah, you really do need to learn and understand and try and master the art of planning and execution. Because again, you'll impromptu, you'll be able to pull off what you've always been able to pull off.
Yep.
If you just stick with your regular rehearsal schedule, you'll be able to pull off what you normally pull off.
Yep.
But your regular rehearsal schedule will likely not pull off something that you've never pulled off before.
Bruh, say that. Say that.
Likely will not pull that off. That likely will crash and burn.
Yep. That's the truth.
Anything else you want to add on the comment, Jay?
Yeah, man. Like, a lot of times, as I said, we are, especially, singers and musicians, we are pros at, using what we already have because we feel we don't need rehearsal. And here's the thing. I've been there. I'm not going to act like I have not been there. There are times where I'll have and this is a horrible thing to do. There have been times where somebody has sent me a song that I already the title I already know. So because I already know the title without even listening to the song.
Right.
Notice I said I know the title. However, the way the song that they sent me, the intro is different.
Yeah, the arrangement got different moving parts.
The arrangement got moving parts. So when you get to the rehearsal, because you did not study at all, you doing something else and totally clueless.
Happened to me one time.
Talking about crash and burn?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Happened to me one time. Where, I made the mistake, and then it happened a few times where when I was sending out music, guys were doing that to me. And so that's when I decided, okay, I'm not sending out titles.
Hey, folks. So look, let me push at y'all real quick because I want to notice because I want to help leaders out. The way I'm hearing you guys, right? There is and this is like in favor of the minister of music / MD minister leaning heavy on that, because even churches that are just starting or pastors that branch out of where they were, whatever, they do follow that model of excellency. What I think they do is they go into it, and many people like yourselves are underappreciated because in a sense, what a pastor has to do to teach and lead, they don't really have time to handle the musical appetite. And I'm saying proper and healthy, right?
Yeah.
Spiritual, not, oh, y'all doing too much shouting and that. And I'm talking about a good, healthy balance of the music department. It really leans in on, and I'm gonna argue this, why the minister of music or the music team needs to be at the same table with leadership.
Yep.
That's a good question.
Because you're actually putting together, it's almost like singing Beyonce's Too Good to have a run through with the band.
Yeah.
And the singers.
Yeah.
And the audio tech and visual, everything is intertwined.
Absolutely.
Everybody's important. You have those, y'all know the road better than I do, but there's no compartment that's out where this the elite leadership corner and everybody else is secondary. Because the artist has to coordinate with the guy that lifts the floor up.
Yeah.
That has to be in tune with the band leadership, has to know we smack right here and you push that button and then somebody else fires off smoke at the same time. It's like, this is a together thing.
Absolutely.
And then you have leaders of each section. Not no, I'm the pastor and there's y'all over there, because listen to y'all talking about Christmas programs and Resurrection Sunday and stuff. It's kind of like, what does the leadership want to see on that day?
Yeah.
Like Jay said, it was a theme. Remember, Jay, see how you brought up old school. Let's give it credit where it's due. We did have a theme. The theme is, and then I had the liberty as the minister of music to put together stuff that went with the theme. Then we check and say, how's this look? It looks great and it's supported, so the pastor don't play you on that Sunday. Well, I don't know what they singing. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it.
Yes, sir.
Right? And we're not divided and it all works together. But I'm really lifting minister of musics now, like on some, like, you got to be at the table.
Yeah.
And this kind of helps those, I'm still trying to be so ratchet in music ministry and say, get yourself aligned with God, because you are that important.
Yeah.
That you do matter in the outcome of how souls are affected in that place. So if a pastor's really pushing for evangelism and that souls may come to Christ this year, your music ain't just a jam session or strict performance.
Yeah.
You are embodied with that leadership for the outcome that offer your skill set. It sets the tone that goes along with the theme of the sermon.
Yes, sir.
And lives are changed. And at the end of it, it's not just Reverend is all of that, or the band is dope and the preaching sucks.
Yeah.
No, it's all together we.
All together we.
And then the strong bear the infirmity of the weak, and iron sharpens iron.
Absolutely.
The whole nine. So I'm sorry, I had to just get that out there to appreciate and help other leaders to understand you ain't all that and then you just grab the dopest musicians and then we got a dope band. It's like no.
Oh yeah, because we going there, right?
Okay, take it away.
We going there tonight. Let me shout out some watchers. Natalie Bullock, 1 Corinthia Nicole, Aunt Schuler, Yolanda Neely Butler, Sebron Dandy, Donna Lightfoot Young, Sean Bobby and Terry Oakland Jr., Josiah Booker, Courtney Gray. Thank you all for tuning in. Reginald Williams, thank you all for tuning in. So, I'd like to go back to where we were last week, talking about the minister of music role and the parallel names. And one of the questions we asked last week was what are some of the uncommon tasks and responsibilities of the minister of music, or maybe underexposed, under talked about tasks and responsibilities. Last week I had mentioned one of those tasks, creating a bridge between the music and creative ministries with the executive leadership of the church.
Yeah.
A bridge of not only communication but accountability. Second one I want to bring up today and get your thoughts on, Jay. Develop a culture that's Christ-centered, church vision focused, with a strong team-oriented DNA.
Wow.
Let me read that again. Develop a culture that's Christ-centered and church vision focused, with a strong team-oriented DNA. Team-oriented DNA. All right. Now, I believe the first two parts of that are relatively self-explanatory in terms of the Christ-centered. We talked about that a lot last week, where Pels told us that it's got to point to the cross, because it starts with the cross, and the culture can never be in competition with the cross. If the culture doesn't point to the cross, something wrong with the culture.
Yeah.
So you're Christ-centered, church vision focused. And that's in concert with obviously the pastor, the shepherd, and his overall vision for that flock. But now the strong team oriented DNA. This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
This is where it gets interesting. This is where, it's not I, me, my.
Yep.
Oops.
Yeah.
It's not I, me, my.
Yep.
But it's we. It's a little French.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
And why am I submitting this? Well, I'm submitting this mainly because it is a grave mistake. A grave mistake, I would say, to build or try to develop a personality-centered culture. If it's personality-centered, then what that usually would suggest is that the effectiveness and the impact of that ministry rises and falls with the personality.
Wow.
Again, the danger there of a personality-centered culture is that the impact and effectiveness of that ministry rises and falls with that personality. It's dangerous. It's dangerous for a number of reasons. One, it creates that backwards culture that I talked about a while back, where it looks like the people serve the leader.
Yeah.
Or the people serve the pastor and not the other way around. Because, they're so gifted and they're so anointed of God.
Right. Oh boy.
It's dangerous. That is very dangerous. Also, the other dangerous part is it's gonna open a trap door that I call burnout.
Yeah. Most definitely.
If it rises and falls with you, if the impact and the effectiveness is totally based on you, on one person, one personality, then that personality, they're gonna get burnt out.
Yeah.
They're gonna get burnt out trying to keep that ship above water.
Keep that what?
That ship.
He put the P on the end. He did. Yeah, he put it on the end, brother. Goodness gracious.
Hey, drop by say.
Trying to keep it above water, having to have their hand or a finger on every moving part.
Yeah.
You gonna hit that trap door called burnout.
Definitely hit that.
And you try to pedal by yourself.
You gonna hit that. So there is a scripture reference in the Old Testament. I do not know where it is, but it talks about at a time of war where I believe that was Moses that was on the mountaintop during the fight, held his hands up, held his arms up.
Yeah, his arms
Do I have that right, Moses?
Yeah, that's yep. Aaron and Ur.
All right, so
Moses,
Moses-
Aaron and Ur.
Moses held his arms up, and as long as his arms were up,
Yep.
Israel
The people
was
were ready.
prevailing.
Yeah, they were winning.
As his arms got tired and started to drop, then the enemy was prevailing against Israel. Enters Aaron and Hur to hold up Moses' arms.
Yep. Hold him up.
Yep.
Strong, team-oriented DNA.
Yeah.
so it does not rise and fall with you. Jay, your thoughts?
You know, it's funny you brought that up because, interesting enough, in order for you to hold up someone's arms, you first have to drop the pride. You know, that is something real interesting when you brought that up because
hold up the arms.
like first of all, you holding up another man's arms.
Mm-hmm.
That right there has to be one of the things you would literally have to drop your pride for.
Mm-hmm.
To hold up another, because we don't know everything that might have been going through their minds of what they went through that day.
Yes, sir.
But they had to drop all that for the, as you say, the strong team
Mm-hmm.
DNA.
Yeah.
They had to be focused on the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So none of that mattered.
Mm.
They had to drop everything to make sure that they held his arms up.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And that right there is just like, it should be one of the main conditions of our church. So when you talk about developing, like the main thing I got, developing focusing on a strong team. Now, having a strong team takes time.
Yes, sir. Takes time.
I wish you could just pick them out right then and there, and they just be like, they're right there, and you've already been through the muck and mire with them.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, it takes a little bit to know that you have a strong team, and most of it is through adversity.
Most of it is through adversity.
Mm-hmm.
And
something there.
yeah, because I want to hang our hats there.
Mm-hmm.
Right where you at, I want to hang our hats.
Yeah.
Particularly when you talked about it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it take time? Well, in a lot of situations, when someone, let's say, comes in from the outside
Mm-hmm.
with a skill set that is not already present,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
most times there's a few things that has to occur. The first thing is that it falls on that person, minister music, it falls on them to identify
Mm.
what they have in their ministry.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're not in the position to kind of, let me use Pelzer's, bring in the dream team.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Hit free agency and just, bring in the ringers.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're not in that position.
Mm.
And the argument could easily be made that, that would, if we were in that position, that would yield faster results.
Mm-hmm.
The argument could be made. Nonetheless, that's usually not the environment.
Yeah.
Usually you're coming in, you got to identify
Mm-hmm.
what you have,
Yeah.
what type of skills that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And that part takes time. But also, when you identify it, then now there has to be a time period where you develop some rapport with them.
Mm. Wow.
It can be difficult to get those gifts and skills
Mm-hmm.
out of who you have. It can be difficult sometimes if you don't have any rapport with them. And if they feel like you kind of just coming in and you want to do it all on your own.
Right.
Throwing it right back to you, Jay.
And you know what's crazy is a lot of times we fail to separate the talent from the man
Yep.
or the woman.
Yep.
We see the talent and it's so good
Mm-hmm.
and it's so necessary for the ministry, for
Yeah.
what we're trying to do, that we fail to see the failed integrity
Mm-hmm.
or the abrasive character.
Yeah.
We fail to see how they really are,
Mm-hmm.
because we need their gift, and they're good
Yeah.
at what they do.
Mhm.
And so because they're good, we sometimes just let it go.
Yeah.
And we poison the well. And we make all of our team drink this. No, but this don't taste right. I know, but just drink. Just drink. You'll be all right soon. And when our team gets poisoned and they get sick, and we're looking what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because somebody was in the camp that wasn't a part of our team in the first place.
Yeah.
They were there on a separate, on a different purpose. So when you say focus on strong team with a vision,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has to be a part of that. Everybody has to see with the same eye,
Yes, sir.
whatever that vision may be. But when you have different people that's trying to do different things, and you have different heads, and you have different leaders in the same area,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's trying to get what they want done.
Let me read a definition of culture real quick.
Yeah.
Here's a definition of culture. Culture is the holistic combination of learned and shared beliefs, values, and practices that create cohesion in a group. One more time.
Yeah.
Culture is the holistic combination of learned and shared beliefs, values, and practices that create cohesion in a group. Now, let me put a dime in the meter real quick.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to that, but I want to go back to the point you made about the time it takes.
Yeah.
Here's another thing we talked about. When that minister of music comes in from the outside that has a skill set, they have to identify what they have. They have to build some rapport, right? But then there is the, okay, we got to establish that the way things were done before I got here did not work.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what you just talked about with the gifted, that, you know, they're very good at what they do, but they have some other quirks that
Right.
can be difficult in group environments.
Right.
Yeah, so okay, young man, young woman, I get that you were doing what you did the way you did for umpteen years before I got here.
Yeah.
But I'm here because there was something wrong with that. That's one of the reasons I'm here.
Yeah.
There's something that don't work about that. Something that don't work about that. And some things, young man, older man, ma'am,
Sir.
some things you're going to have to see differently.
Yeah.
Some things you're going to have to look at it from a different perspective. You're going to have to embrace a perspective that I'm offering. Because the perspective I'm offering is one of the main reasons I'm in the position I'm in.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's one of the main reasons. One of the biggest differences between myself and my predecessor of where I serve now, one of the biggest differences,
Harley Davidson.
one of the biggest difference is work ethic and consistency.
Yeah.
That's one of the big. They can count on one hand how many rehearsals that they have not seen me in almost 7 years. they can count on one hand how many rehearsals they have not seen me in almost 7 years.
Yep.
I bring that up to say, when you are in that position as the minister of music, again, coming in to a situation from the outside, that's also a part of the task, is you have to display a level of traits that are not already present.
Most definitely.
You got to display a level of traits that aren't already present.
Yeah.
Because that is what people can reference as it pertains to not only you as a leader, not only why you're in the position that you're in, but also they can reference that to the culture that you are trying to communicate and establish.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, Jay?
Wow, man. Like, you said a mouthful right there, man. You know, like, when you have built up at the ministry that you're at, you have built up such a work ethic that whoever would come behind you, they're not going to just accept anything.
Yes, sir.
And you know, that's how it should be with all of us, where your absence is felt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they need you.
Yeah.
But your absence is felt because your presence was a presence on its own, you know, and they knew and they know now that they have a great leader. And one of those traits about a great leader is you see what you need, you see what you have, and your team, you've built that team over months, over years.
Yeah.
That team didn't just happen.
No.
You know, and I'm sure if you was to go into the first year or the second year, I'm sure there was some personality issues that you had to deal with.
Oh yes.
You know.
Oh yes.
Even in leadership, from the top,
yeah,
there's some things that you had to deal with. So tracking through all of that to get to this point where you have a solid team.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's commendable, man, because you could have just been like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
And that's what most, you know, a lot of times if your vision is not there, or if you don't have what they call the stick with itness.
Yeah.
You just go from church to church. But you could have been left. But you stayed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, like.
And so before we get out of here, I really want to look at, I guess, I want to look at some let's say some language. I want to look at some language, particularly from a leader that would display good culture or display bad culture. As for me, there are certain phrases and terms that I avoid using. Here's one of the phrases I avoid using. I avoid using a phrase such as, just trust me, it's going to work out good.
I can see that.
Now, many people might disagree there. Again, I'm talking about, it's just for me.
Yeah.
I avoid using those phrases because I believe we're just in a different time. We're in a different time where it does not have the substance it may have once had.
Yeah.
So if I'm communicating, for example, a goal or a vision, I honestly feel like it should have some practical explanation behind it. And that practical explanation can't be just trust me.
Right. Right. Banana in the tailpipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, particularly when you talk about your team, ultimately, it's easier to trust what can be discussed.
I like that. Say that again, bro.
It's easier to trust what can be discussed, even if we
Very
don't
good.
agree.
Yeah. Very good.
Because not agreeing with someone does not mean that doesn't automatically mean that what they said that you disagree with wasn't valid
Right. Yeah.
or didn't have any truth behind it. That's not what that means. Now, we do that a lot in church. We do that a lot in the leadership context.
Right.
But us disagreeing on something or having two different perspectives, it doesn't mean less of one perspective and more of the other. That's not what it automatically means.
Right.
That's not. So I've always been a proponent of let's discuss it.
Right.
And I can explain to you how I arrived at a decision.
Yeah.
I can explain, and I have no issues explaining it. I'm not going to get defensive about explaining it.
Right. 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 That part.
I'm not going to get defensive about explaining it at all.
Yeah.
At all. We can definitely have the conversation.
Yeah.
And we can definitely disagree at the end of the day.
Yep.
But also, again, as the leader and the team oriented, the team it can't be it won't have a strong team oriented DNA if all the decisions were your ideas.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, you got to take somebody else's ideas sometimes.
Yeah. For sure.
Here's a free one. Even if you know what the end's going to be.
That part.
Even if you know what the end result is going to be. Sometimes you still got to, okay, let's give it a whirl. See what happens.
Now that takes a special anointing right there. Yeah. That's a special one right there, bro. Yeah. Yeah.
Because again, man, who want to be a part of a team where they feel like you ain't listening to nothing they say?
Yeah. Very true.
And I know somebody gonna say, well, just because we ain't go with what they said don't mean we wasn't listening. Well, yeah, you're right. But let's be real about that.
Come on.
Let's be real about.
You know who we're dealing
Let's
with.
be real about us humans.
Yeah.
Let's be real about us church folk.
Come on. That right there.
If they done gave you 20 ideas,
Yep.
and you ain't tried not now one, it's hard to sell. We listen to you though.
Yep.
It's hard to sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a free one. Sometimes, even when you know what the end's going to be, even when, for instance, the choir say we want to get robes and we want to wear them year round. Now, you in your mind know they're going to be hot as all get up in July and August, but they want to do, okay, y'all get the robes, y'all want to wear them year round? Let's try, see what happens. They try it, and then, August come, Brother Minister Music, we don't got to wear our robes today, do we?
Yeah. Sister Minnie about to pass out.
Oh, yeah. Sister Minnie. Where them fans
Take somebody young, be with them fans.
I'm gonna take the robes off.
But again, I went all that way again to promote with culture, with team oriented DNA. I went all that way to say, man, you gotta collaborate.
Yeah.
As the leader, you're not, if there's no collaboration with your team, if you don't build a team, there's no culture.
Yeah.
There's no culture. There's no culture. You might as well just have a black robe and a gavel.
Right.
But that's why I went all that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Culture. I had a question for you, Jay.
Yeah.
As we kind of wrap this up, And again, we're still having this conversation about some of the tasks and responsibilities of the minister of music. And we've talked a lot about the team oriented DNA. So here's my question, kind of let's say a common situation you may kind of see in our churches. One of the choir directors, I take it back. Let's go here. Let's go one of the choir members.
Think about it. Think about it. Real quick.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the choir members, they come directly to you. They go around the choir director. They come directly to you. Listen, brother minister of music, I just, I feel like, we don't really sing any of those old time songs. And I think we should sing more old time songs. I think they'd be really good. I think they go over really well. What would kind of be your response to that person?
Well, it's the thing. My first thing is, especially if it's we had different choirs when I was minister of music. So we had our senior choir, we had our youth. So it just depends on who's saying that. So let's just say Deacon Baxter.
Oh yeah,
can't forget him.
You can't forget Deacon
Baxter, who plays the guitar, who also sings in the choir, says, "Listen, I want to do a little bit of those old time songs." Well, I mean, if it's the senior choir, I'll hear it out. It's a difference when Deacon Baxter says, "I want to lead it." So it's one thing for me to listen to a song and then say, okay, I got to see if, number one, if y'all could even do this. But if Deacon Baxter want to lead it, now we're talking about a whole different algorithm. Now Deacon Baxter got to know how to sing. He got to know how to keep a tempo. And if you can't even keep tempo on your guitar, I got a few questions, Deke, but before we go into that. And here's the thing. I would first let him know I'll consider it.
Yeah.
I would never just give him a no. Because I haven't heard the song.
Yeah.
I haven't heard what he wants to do. All he said is one of them old time songs. Okay, well, Deke, what you got in mind? Let's talk.
Yeah.
What's up? Oh, I want to do the Blessed Assurance.
Yeah.
The old time way. Okay.
Hey.
More bells.
Insert. You know what I learned too? There's people that ask you to sing. They'll hate on older songs, right? But they can't sing the newer song that they're claiming. So it's like I said before, people that hear the newer song on the radio, or we're like, what it's like.
In my mind.
It's the preacher who looks at a teenager or somebody that just went on their prom and they say, these millennials. And you're like, oh, buddy doesn't get it.
Nope.
Or somebody that's just like, since we in the pandemic, where you been at? Right, mask came off a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
Or right off the heels of the pandemic, dog, we done stretched 2 years over that, technically, right?
Yeah.
You have people that, like Jay said, so my answer is like when people go, it's both now, right? It's the person that says, see, that's why I like them old songs. And I've been there, y'all. Here Keith Pelzer, I've been
too.
there.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh, so you take me and what's my boy named St. Joseph Baptist Church?
Fleming.
I mean, if anybody know verses, Fleming know verses. Being Fleming dropping the song and it's like nobody know the background. I'm just like, didn't you say the old song? You don't even know it.
Don't even know it.
Like you got people that's like whining about new songs and they don't know the old songs they asking for. Then you got people that say, do you know that song by so and so? You sing it in the wrong key. You don't do the changes. You skip the main part that made you actually listen to the song on the radio. How you skipping that part?
How you skipping that part?
Listen. I was at a spot and they, what's the joint? Lord, if I Find favor
Yeah.
in your sight.
Tasha
You know,
Cobbs.
it's that wanna be where you are.
Mm-hmm.
I've been places I'm like, y'all gonna do that? Oh, y'all gonna do that part? Seriously? Like
Yeah.
that's like singing, I just wanna praise you. And you ready to go to G.
Mm-hmm.
And they like, keep it right there, keep it right there. Seriously?
Yeah.
I need my A flat jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need
Absolutely.
my A flat jam. And you ain't gonna take me there. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. So to answer your thing, man, I think it's both.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's really jacked up on both sides. It's like people stop. It's the people that's trying to keep it in yesterday,
Yeah.
and the people that's pushing forward, and you still back to the future.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, real quick,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I would say now just to put a cap on that. Just sidebar. Just want to praise you. I love that song. However, if you don't modulate, it's pointless to sing it.
Shay, I love you, man. I love you, bro. Like that's the
whole.
Like,
Like it's
I mean, dog.
if you don't modulate and you just sitting there right there, it's just the song is over.
I mean, shout out to Tamika Furby. I think she pulled go one more. And
Yeah.
it was like Austin, like, all right, let's do it. I mean, I seen that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that,
But the hilarious part about not going up, this is the hilarious part about it. The hilarious part about it is it's all unison.
bruh. See, you done messed everybody with that.
Right.
There's-
I mean, the first
The
two
harmony doesn't start until the
Until
back
the-
end of the
right,
song.
the back
That's
end.
true. It's just pointless.
It's all unison.
yeah, you won with that, bro. That's it. You right.
Just
Right.
And we scared to modulate doing one note?
You can't
one
lose.
note, bro.
You can't lose.
One note.
You can't lose.
Keep it right there. Don't
Right.
don't modulate.
You can't lose. Like, wait, what?
So I asked that question with an anecdote in mind.
Uh-huh.
Not where I'm currently serving. My previous assignment, I had wound up becoming the minister of music at my previous assignment, and I had an older choir.
Mm.
Now, for the most part, they picked their own music, and I left it that way. So they came to me one time with a specific song.
Mm.
This Means War, Charles Jenkins.
Charles Jenkins. Wow. Wow.
Now, of course, again, they picked their own song.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I ain't got no problem with it. So they start rehearsing the song,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the woman that brought it to me, she also was the one leading it.
Oh.
And she could not really keep up with the words. So we rehearse it. Well, okay. And then, their Sunday come and they, I tell them pick something else. Then the next month, we rehearse it again.
I
And
knew you was going.
mother's still struggling with those words. So that Sunday, we pick something different. So we get to the third month.
Oh God.
We rehearse it again.
Mm-mm-mm.
Mother's still struggling with the words.
Lord help.
So at the rehearsal, their choir director came to me, Brother Darren, you think we can sing it this Sunday? I said, I don't think it's ready yet.
Still got a little bit more bacon.
I don't think it's ready yet because, those words is still, it's still a little rough.
Yeah.
Now, again, I would never have chosen this song for that group.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would not have, but
I've had that song and they couldn't do that. They always got stuck on it. You can't have my. You can't. All right, don't do that part.
so we get to month 4.
Oh Lord, my fault.
We rehearse it. Mother's still struggling.
Oh no.
So that Sunday sing something different.
Oh gosh.
We get to month 5.
You better.
We rehearse it. Mother's still struggling.
You better than me.
My God.
Choir director came back to me. Brother Darren, what you think? I'm still nervous. But if you, as their director, believe they're ready, we'll do it this Sunday. This Sunday comes, they do it.
Yeah.
Now, the woman who, led the song, God rest her soul, so I'm able to tell this story.
Julian.
I start playing the song, drummers playing with me.
Right.
I play the intro.
Right.
I look her way, and she just looking my way,
Right, not.
and she don't sing.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Froze.
So I play the intro again, and then you can hear if you're on the third row, you can hear me count loudly. You can hear me count 1, 2, 3. So she starts. Got joy in my soul. Lord Jesus, help me. She did that in the mic on Sunday morning. She did that in the mic on Sunday morning.
Oh my God.
I think TV listen. While intermission, while Jay is feeling it in the Holy
Oh
Ghost.
my gosh. Lord have mercy.
Listen, y'all. I was one of the best to play. Shout out to
Oh man.
Sister Moten. If you know, you know. Our senior choir was interesting because they got to a point. By the time I got in my early 20s, they got to a point where radio was still kind of rocking, and whatever was the dope hit thing, we come to rehearsal and it's like, we need to try that song. We tired of doing these old songs. Now, mind you, everybody's like over 60,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, yeah, let's do something. We ain't gonna do them old songs for anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lord.
And I'll never forget when the senior choir did Every Praise is to Our God.
Oh my gosh.
And our deacon was singing it, and you couldn't tell him he wasn't Hezekiah Walker. Then y'all ever heard that song? Everything that happened to me that was good, God did it.
Yeah.
God did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, He did it. Now because it's quartet, and Mama sang this song and go, I was sick, couldn't get well. He healed my body. But what I could tell was the band that did it is locked in.
Yeah.
So the only thing old on it was the singers.
Mm-hmm.
The band is, tight. And the beat reverses at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, say, yeah, do-do-do-da, who did it? God did it. And the beat reverses. They never could get it right. And if you ever play for a choir that sings the 1 on the 2 and the 2 on the 3 and the 3 on the 4 and the 4 somewhere, God knows where that's at, but you got to stay locked in. And then when they come back in on the right one, you got to be ready for the right one.
Yep.
And the problem is, once you successfully clean it up, you now become the cleaner for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the laundry list of whatever song comes in their spirit because they believe in you to fix it. And Darian, I only said that because out of all that delay, they still rely on you to clean them up.
Mm-hmm.
And that now becomes, we can do it the way Jay said earlier, we've always been doing it.
Yep.
Yep.
And real quick, can I just bring this around?
Yes,
Go ahead,
sir.
Jay. That's it right there.
This is one of those things where, like we said, we've always done it.
Yup.
So they just do whatever they do because that's always been the thought process.
Lord have mercy.
It's actually new to actually plan
Mm-hmm.
church.
Yep. Absolutely.
So when you talking about planning something in church, there's a lot of especially for those that are over 60.
Mm-hmm.
They don't come from that era.
No.
They
Julian.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, shout out to every musician, to the band that goes when somebody sings. My boy Carlton will sing this. My soul's been anchored. Boom, 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 boom. It's
Yeah.
like it don't do that in the first round.
Nah.
Stop it.
I hate it, bro.
And they'll just do that every single round.
Every time
Yeah.
it come around there, boom, 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 boom.
Because that's all they hear.
Smacking hard as that.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
all they
bruh,
hear.
it's not,
You just gave me PTSD.
I know. Look.
wait for me. I'll let you know.
You just gave me PTSD.
It will never,
I don't even have.
never,
Yeah, I don't even have time to go there tonight.
Yeah.
I really don't. We're gonna have to go there next week.
Yeah.
In terms of
We need a
music.
segment of we keep playing it wrong. We need a list.
A list of
Real
songs
quick,
that keep
real
playing
quick.
wrong.
Anybody watching, just before they close it, just drop some songs that's most likely the band. If they not that Olympic band, they gonna get it wrong.
Thank you, Lord Walter Hawkins,
Yeah.
on that wraparound.
Yeah. Yeah. Total praise.
Don't freeze.
Oh my gosh.
But I went all that way with the story with Mother, struggling with that song. And after that Sunday, after that crash and burn, when I tell you that group, they never gave me any more issues. I mean, not a nair issue that
I
they
know.
ever give me.
Yeah.
They never came back to me and said, "You think we can do that?" Something? No, they would always come. Darren, how it sound? Do we need to go over it again?
Hold
Do it.
on. I got one more time. What the lady say?
She got through. I got joy in my soul. God is in control. I got Lord Jesus, help me.
I would have been off that organ tree, Doc.
We out of here. We be back next week.
Yo.
Woo!
I'm your co-host D Brister.
Just
Lord Jesus, help us.